Okay, this video is part 3 of landscape art, and these are some of the most beautiful paintings ever of all time. And the first painting here is Thomas Cole. And this is a series of paintings called The Voyage of Life. And you can click the print screen button to save a picture of this. They're magnificent. So here's the baby coming out with Mama, the guardian angel. You know, obviously looks like the birth canal, a time of joy and abundance, and everything is positive and cheerful and hopeful. And now here is youth. So in youth, the young man is headed straight for his dream of utopia in the sky. And the path looks straight, you know, from the water to the land right up to his dream castle. But if you look more closely at the water, it goes around a turn. And as it goes around a turn, it starts heading into some shallow waterfalls, some whitewater rapids, and a lot of rocks. Okay, this is part 2 of The Voyage of Life, youth. And the guardian angel wishes him good luck, but you know, he's gone off to college, off to work, off to something far away, his tour of Europe or whatever it is. And now here's middle age. He's in a rowboat, but the oars have fallen off the side of the boat. He's going over the rapids. The rapids. He's made that turn. There's a lot of rocks. And the guardian angel's quite far, still looking at him, but there's also some nasty looking clouds up here. And the storm is coming. And he's praying that he makes it. It's not easy. Middle age, he's divorced, wife stole all his money, he's worried about losing his job, worried about maintaining a good relationship with his kids, not even thinking he's ready to get a new girlfriend after all that trouble. Okay, this is middle life for a lot of people. I've been through all those phases. Here is old age now, Thomas Cole. This is part 4 of The Voyage of Life. And now the end is near. He's seen it all, done it all. Guardian angels nearby, the other angels there. He's seeing the path to heaven. So that's the 4 pictures of The Voyage of Life by Thomas Cole, one of the most magnificent series of story paintings ever made. Okay, now here is The Wanderer Above the Sea Fog by Caspar David Friedrich. This is sort of the early German Romanticism type painting. Romanticism sort of looked back to Christianity. It was sort of in rebellion, if you will, excuse me, to classicism, the Enlightenment phase, so to speak. And this is a couple things here. This type of painting is called a Röntgenfiguur, with the idea being that when you look at the character from behind, it's as if you are in the view. You become the character in a sense, looking out over the landscape. And it has a very strong sense of looking down on the world, having an objective sense of view. And a man often thinks best when he's alone. Yes, we need to converse with others to get their advice, but we also need to be alone to think about it, to contemplate what our options are, what our potentialities are, what's the possible things we can do with the time we have left on the planet. So this is Wanderer Above the Sea Fog. And here's another painting. This is Isaac Newton at Woolsthorpe in Anno Mirabilis, the miracle year 1665, when he figured out gravity, he figured out optics, he figured out fundamental laws of physics, perhaps the greatest year of any individual scientist ever in the history of the world, the smartest man who ever lived. And the point of it all is he did it by himself. He didn't need grant funding, he didn't need a committee, he just spent a lot of time by himself thinking. And people said, how did you solve the problem of gravity? He said, I just stayed with it longer than other people do. You know, I thought about it constantly all day long, and then he figured it out. He saw the apple fall. Okay, and then, of course, we love being together with friends and family, and, you know, wintertime would be the most cold, bleak, and miserable time of the year, but Christmas makes it the most wonderful and joyful, the best time of the year, and Christianity does that to so many things. So here's a painting by Thomas Kinkade, The Spirit of Christmas, and he sold more paintings than any painter who ever lived, because he made what people actually like and care about. So the kids are happy on the frozen river, skating, pulling the sled, all the Christmas decorations, the Christmas lights are the light of the world. Christianity lights are the light of the world. Shows people what life can be like, brings joy in life. And you know, pie in the sky, you can argue about that. Nobody fully understands it, but done right, Christianity, especially the Catholic version of it, it just brings joy into all this stuff. Pilgrims were a little crazy at times, and for a while they outlawed celebration of Christmas. No, we love it. It's the best time of the year. It's always been the best time of the year. And here's a beautiful little Deer Creek chapel by a creek with the deer. And we all remember our small towns that we grew up in and how nice that was. So another beautiful Thomas Kinkade painting there by the water. Here's another water landscape by Thomas Kinkade, the Valley Chapel again. There's something about mountains, it kind of looks like Half Dome, mountains and water nearby in the forest, biophilia. We love this. It's beautiful. And now here's a painting by Joseph Vernet, Seaport by Moonlight. And just sort of elegant and beautiful, the combination of all these things in this water landscape. And here is Moonlight Night on Capri by Ivan Ivazovsky, 1841. So again, this is another Russian artist, and we all know that the modern Soviet Russians, they stink. They stink at almost everything. And but man, back in the 1800s when they were Christians, they were great artists. They were great writers. Without Christianity, man does not achieve much. He just wants money, help himself, his family, maybe a couple co-ethnics, and that's about it. With Christianity, he creates beautiful things for everybody. So here's Stormy Sea at Night by Ivan Ivazovsky, the Russian painter. And here's probably The Ninth Wave by Ivan Ivazovsky, 1850. And the ship has sunk, but you can see they're still on the mast, and the mast is shaped like the cross, Catholic cross. It's a rather spectacular and beautiful painting. So this is called The Ninth Wave. Remember that word, the wave. And now I'm going to show you another painting. And I don't want to be mean, but I want to just make a point. So this is what all these people tell me. Oh, well, Japanese can paint. Well, look, they made this painting, The Great Wave, at Kanagawa by Katsushika Hokusai, a Japanese artist in 1850. And it's a nice painting, but come on, let's be real. This looks like something a kid did in high school. Was a good student at a high school, made a nice painting, okay? And there is a little bit of a lifelike, cartoon-like sense that the waves got little hand claws, going to grab at the sailors. But please, look at the lack of detail in this. I mean, it'd be good for a high school kid, but this is child's play compared to the great paintings of the Russian and European artists. Come on, let's be real. Non-Christian cultures, they stink at art. I mean, in comparison, this is a decent thing for, a high school kid, okay? This is not big-time art, please. Okay, here's another painting, Storm at Sea by Andreas Achenbach from 1837. Again, it's a rather spectacular composition. And, the boat, the realism to life, the waves, the birds. This is art of a much higher level. And here's another painting by Ivan Ivazovsky, The Lighthouse. And we should all try to be a lighthouse. Tell the truth about nutrition, about health, about art, about culture, about religion. The world's a better place when we tell each other the truth. Think about your family, the people you care about and love the most. You tell them the truth. You don't BS them. You don't tell them modern art is real. No, it's nonsense. Okay, this is real art. And now here's another magnificent painting by Thomas Kinkade. This one is called Clearing Storms, and it reminds me of the Marcus Aurelius quote, the Roman emperor, the Stoic. He said, a man should be like a cliff, and all day the waves beat against his ankles, beat against the cliff, but the cliff is not moved, and that's how you should be. You're going to have to deal with BS. Like being a doctor, all day long, you're putting out small fires, dealing with all kinds of nonsense and BS. And what you want to do is keep her cool. Don't get emotional. Just deal with it. And I remember when I was a young guy, I trailed around this really good emergency room doctor, and he never got emotional. He dealt with all kinds of major complex problems and emotional disasters and stuff. And he said, I have to be, cool, calm, and collected and objective so I can, once I deal with one emergency, I got to deal with one in the next room. If I got all emotional, I wouldn't be able to deal with it. So that's part of being, a top performer. That's a big part of noble masculinity, keeping your cool and just dealing with things. Now here's a painting by Frederick Edwin Church, another great American natural landscape painter, of a boat sailing past the iceberg there. And here's another version of his painting of an iceberg with the boat sailing by. I like this one even better. Here's another Battle of Sesame by Ivan Ivajowski, you know, Battle at Sea, another spectacular painting. And here's a painting that I really like. This one is called Shipwreck by Joseph Vernet, 1772. And what I like about this reminds me of Jose Ortega Gallet. And this one was, he had all these quotes, and what he basically said is, most of your university professors, they're just posers, they're just collecting a paycheck, you know, reading out of the book. They're not bringing any new material to the table. They're not trying to develop ideas. And what Jose Ortega Gasset said was that the real truth, the real ideas come from the shipwrecked. Somebody who is stranded, who has a big problem, who is trying to solve that problem, because they really need to know the truth. They read through the book and they're not convinced it's true until they know for sure. They can prove it by seeing, you know, consilience, that information from multiple directions supports it, because they have to get an answer to save their own life, to fix their own life, to save the person they care about and love. Okay, and he says that's where real thinking comes from. And in his own way, Schopenhauer said the same thing. It's the amateurs who make the great discoveries, because they're interested in the thing just for itself, to know the truth, to understand it, because they love it, because they feel it's essential to learn that information to solve some more important problem. Okay, whereas typical university won't allow. Like, I'm not allowed to teach at the local university medical center, even though I'm by far the best doctor at all the hospitals in my area put together, okay? I published more books than all their doctors put together, but I'm not allowed to teach at the university because I made a fart joke, okay, that they thought was inappropriate. And what I'm trying to say is that's how it goes. The posers, you know, just play it cool, wimpy. But the persons who are going to make the discovery, they're going to be shipwrecked, bold, trying to solve a problem. You know, I was trying to solve some major problems. My mother died, my father died and was sick, and I was sick, and I had to solve those problems, and I figured out how to do it. You know, a little bit too late, but at least I share it with the pros. But I made a previous video about Jose Ortega Gasset with all his quotes and with that painting. Now here is Moonrise Over the Sea by Caspar David Friedrich, and you see the family looking over the sea, and it's rather beautiful, real tranquil. And then he's got another one. Here's another one by Caspar David Friedrich. Again, the Romanticism art. And these are the stages of life. So here's the childhood phase, and there's mama watching over. Here's the adult man phase, you know, youth to middle age, having a family. So that's him married to her with their children. And then here's the next phase, the old phase in life. And this is after you're older, your wife's divorced you, stole your money, and then you're trying to decide what to do with the rest of your time. This is the Stages of Life by Caspar David Friedrich. It's beautiful. And now we're getting back into a couple more paintings here by Thomas Cole. And the first painting here is The Architect's Dream. In his mind's eye, the architect sees a utopia. How if he just puts the church right here, the Greek and Roman architecture over here, it could be magnificent. It could be a wonderful life for so many people. And things go well. They respect their religion, they respect their tradition, they respect their history, they respect their families, and they produce tremendous abundance and bounty. They're wealthy beyond their dreams, they have wonderful food, a wonderful life, time for education. It's a great life. And that's America in the 1980s, okay? 1950s through 1980s, okay? And let's now take a next picture in Thomas Cole's series. Well, actually, I got a couple intervening pictures, and then we'll get back to Thomas Cole's follow-up. So here's a medieval city on a river by Karl Schinkel in 1813. He was a brilliant German architect. And look at how accurate and precise and magnificent this cathedral was. And we talked previously about appropriating symbols. You know, they try to, you know, take a great, positive, cheerful symbol like the rainbow and associate it with anal sex, which is freaking ridiculous. And then what they'll also try to do is they'll try to take something negative like breast cancer and associate that with other things that are good to try to degrade the other thing. So what I'm trying to say is always look at what's being associated with what. And the puppet master is always going to take something bad and associate it with something good to change people's opinions of it. And then they're going to take something good and associate it with something bad to change people's opinions of it. And I'm just telling you, that's how they do it. So be alert for that. You will be less able to be puppetized. Okay, so again, it's spectacular painting over the river. It's just beautiful. Here's another painting by Karl Schinkel, the German architect. This one's also from around 1813. And this is a Gothic cathedral by a river. And you can see again, the Gothic cathedrals are spectacular. They're the most beautiful buildings ever made. The cross is the most powerful symbol known to mankind for goodness. And it's just beautiful. The bridge, the clouds, the river, it's all just great. And only Christian culture makes these paintings. There's no other culture that paints these. And that's why Christian culture is superior to all other cultures by far. Here's another one. Entrance to the Grand Canal of Venice by Canaletto. Okay, just beautiful. And here's a lovely picture of London on the Thames River. Okay, there's Big Ben. And here's a lovely bridge, and here's a lady looking out and contemplating the night scene, and it's beautiful. This one's by John Atkinson Grimshaw. Okay, and now here's a painting a little more close to home. This is Anguish by August Friedrich Schenk. So the mama sheep's looking over at the teenage baby sheep that's just died, and they're about to eat the baby sheep, and she's calling out for help, but doesn't look like any help is going to come, trying to protect her baby. And there's the answer. The shepherd, the cross, rally to the cross. Okay. Cross on a Hill is the name of the painting by Caspar David Friedrich. And here's another painting by Thomas Schenk. The shepherd is there with the cross. He tells the flock, rally to the cross. You must come back to the cross. Religion means relegare, to ligare, to ligate, to tie together the public. They've got a couple dogs. The dogs will protect them for a little while, but there's a lot of wolves out there. The dogs cannot protect them from all the wolves. The dogs cannot protect them from the thing down south that is now open. You know what it's called. We all know it's called the border. And the endless hordes of third world barbarians coming to destroy the baby sheep. Okay? Only rally to the cross and do what's right. Assert noble masculinity. Let the men fix the problem. Let the men seal the problem down south. That's the only hope. And here's what happens if noble masculinity does not exert itself. The foreign invaders, third worlders, barbarians destroy the cities, destroy the homes, destroy the museums, destroy the libraries, destroy the universities, destroy the schools, destroy the public. And what do you end up with? A third world crap hole like where the third world barbarians came from. And everybody is worse off. Who wants that? That's all Thomas Cole from The Course of Empire. And that's basically the cycle of empires. And that's the idea of the cycle of Giambattista Vico. That a society starts out religious and proud and strong and noble and masculine. And it does wonderful things, and it educates itself, and it farms, and it develops the fields, the agriculture, then the cities, then the architecture, then the magnificent height of empire and civilization. But then it starts to fall out of its religious faith. It becomes weak, hedonistic, feminized, decadent, and then it's conquered by more masculine barbarians. And so the sun is setting on the west, but we're all hoping the west will make a comeback. And the only thing that's going to enable the west to make a comeback is a religious revival. It's pretty obvious. That's the truth. Everybody knows it. There's only two powerful forces in the Western world. There is atheistic Darwinism, which has all the big money behind it from the billionaire perverts, and there is Christian ethics. That's it. There's all kinds of other faiths, yeah, sure, but Buddhism ain't going to change anything. Hinduism is not going to change anything, okay? It is only going to be, Shinto is not going to change anything, okay? It's either going to be Zoroastrianism isn't going to change anything. It's either going to be a Christian revival, and people don't have to be Christians, but they got to have Christian ethics, or atheistic Darwinism, which is just going to smash everything, impose slavery. So hopefully there'll be a revival, and freedom will come back, and the Constitution will be respected, and capitalism will come back, and we'll become wealthy again like we used to be.